Welcome to Unleash and Thrive. Today I have been joined by Elishibah Msengeti Poriot. She is a leader and a very good person. I have been knowing her since my course in Women in Leadership, and what an amazing person she is. She just brings light to the room, and it's someone who can you can look after to for any kind of help. So yes, Elishibah is here.
Thank you, Rina. Thank you for having me. And you're equally bringing light by having this program and by sharing your own story and giving people a platform to share their stories. So, thank you very much.
All the pleasure is mine.
Yeah.
Great. So, Elishiba, we would like to know your journey, how about your life, how it has been, and definitely we'll dive deep into your career and how you have managed the challenges. But let the guests know, the viewers should know how you like who Elishiba is.
Great. Thank you. So, my name, like Rina has mentioned, my name is Elishibah Msengeti Poriot. I am a wife and a mother. I have two children. A 10 and 11-year-old, a boy and a girl, very blessed. And that's the family of my making. But my family of origin, I'm a firstborn. I have two brothers who follow me, Peter and Moses, who I love dearly, and my sister-in-law, who's married to my brother. Her name is Claire, who I love dearly, and raised by my mom. Our dad died when we were quite young, actually, when I was 5 years old. And he died in a car crash, which was quite tragic. And I like to share this because I think it has really shaped a lot about our lives. When you grow up in a family that has sort of faced
A
tragedy at
tragic
such a
event
young
at young
age,
age. Yeah.
um, I think it made us closer, first of all, but also it really made us value life and value each other.
Right.
And so I really thank my mom because she was also equally very young by the time she was widowed and has managed to raise the three of us.
Wow.
And now we have children ourselves, and three children amongst the three of us. And uh, I guess in a nutshell, that's who I am. I come from close knit family in terms of aunties and uncles who have also been a big part of our lives.
Right.
And what that has meant is, I think, for every victory, they've been there, and also for every downfall or setback, they've also been there. And I think that has also impacted a lot in terms of how I view life. That
Right.
yeah, that family is important. That you show up, that you're present. And
I think
yeah,
that is one quality I had liked when we were in the course.
yeah,
I had heard you talking about your family and lifting them up when you are
yeah,
growing as well. So
yeah.
I think that was something that really clicked for me, that yes, this is the person
Yeah.
who is not only working on her career, but who
Yeah,
really feels that it's family. If you grow together, it's a different level altogether.
absolutely.
Amazing, amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, so thank you, Rina. And that's as far as maybe my family or personal life is concerned. In terms of the other side of Elishiba, I'm a life skills and leadership facilitator.
Right.
I'm an educator. I'm an
Wow.
educationist as well. So
Wow.
which means I'm passionate about education and all that appertains to education. But my job or my work, 8 to 5, I'm a
Mhm.
principal programs officer,
Great.
and I work at Kengen PLC.
Wow.
And I say that because I think our work doesn't define who we are. So that's why I started with
Right.
who I am and then what I do.
Perfect.
And my yeah, maybe that's what I would say Elishiba is. I'm a believer. I do a bunch of other things which I think we'll talk about
Definitely.
in this session. Um, I'm from Taita.
Oh, great.
I like to say that because again with the name Elishibah Msengeti Poriot, people are like, so where is that from? Are you Kenyan? Are you so Msengeti is a Taita name. Both
Okay.
my parents are Taita, and then Poriot is a name from West Pokot. So my father-in-law is from West Pokot. My late mom-in-law was Kipsigis.
Okay.
So it's quite a mix. But that's where the names are from. And Elishibah is a
Great.
Hebrew name from the Old Testament.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
learning so much. It's nice. Great.
Yeah.
Great to be have you here.
Yeah.
Now I would like to know more about the challenges. Like, how do you take challenges in your life? What is your perspective on that? Like, if or maybe we can start with what challenges you faced, maybe one of the major challenge that you thought is that was the turning point of your life, and how it shaped your life.
Well, first of all, I think I stopped classifying challenges as turning points because you think you think one challenge is, I mean, you're like, this is the one that will take me out, and then
Right,
another one comes.
right,
Um, and I think being a believer has really helped because I'm able to anchor, and by believer, I'm a Christian,
mm,
and being able to anchor my life and the things I go through on more than just me as Elishibah. There's a bigger picture. So that I have found that to be very helpful. Number two, being able to hear other people's stories.
mm,
So I think one of the what shall I say, pitfalls that we fall into sometimes is when you have a tunnel vision and you think that what you're going through is unique to you.
right,
And I find that when I listen to other people, when I listen to, I guess, people's stories, um, my own family members, my mentors, and even strangers, people that I don't know, I am able to situate myself in that it's just humanity, and people go through stuff and they
right,
rise up and they survive. One of the biggest maybe challenges, of course, like I said, the loss of our dad was a big
right,
one, but I
right,
was very young and
right.
didn't really I wouldn't say I'm the one who overcame that one.
Correct,
I think my
correct,
mom did it for
right,
us, I think. But in terms of my adult life, maybe two major things. One was the loss of my mom-in-law, because that really it really shook us and it really impacted our lives. And by that I mean myself and my husband. And I
right,
think it also she was a really lovely woman. She was a community leader. She was running a children's home.
wow,
She was also a women's leader. Actually, she was the Maendeleo ya Wanawake Secgen for Kericho. Lucille Kirui is her name, and I honor her. And I think I almost didn't realize how much she was doing until she died, and we had so many people, just grieving her loss because of the impact that she had on them personally.
right,
In throughout her career as a teacher, as a Bible school teacher, and then as a principal, high school principal, but more importantly, as a mother who was
person,
running this children's home with 70 children or more than
wow,
70 children. And I say that it was a setback because I think we kind of had to step into her shoes, which was not very easy
task,
to do.
yeah,
And I think the takeaway, of course, was first of all, um, cherish your family members, because any
of
day
course,
they could be gone. But also number two, I think she really had an impact. So the lesson for me was just try to also have a positive impact
mm,
um, wherever you've been planted. The second challenge, which I've talked about in maybe many other forums, was I lost my job at one point in 2019. No, 2019.
mhm.
Oh my gosh, I can't even believe that,
because
because I used to
because
think this
because
day
I
I will
think
always
that's
remember
not a
it.
challenge anymore.
Yes, it was, yes, correct, right? So it was in May of 2019. But I think what made it such a big challenge or setback is because I was very passionate about the job itself. And also I have always sort of been I don't want to say a star student,
Right,
like I was an A
right,
student, I
right,
was a
right.
prefect, I was a head girl, I was all
Wow,
those things, and always getting awards. And I think what happens is you sort of assume that life will continue to be like
correct.
that.
Yeah,
And so this was the first time it was a rejection first of all,
Mm.
because when you lose your job, essentially the company is saying we don't need
Need
you.
you. Yeah.
Then number two, it was also a failure. It
And
felt like a failure to
correct.
me. And I really examined and I was like, oh my gosh, so all these times that maybe things were going well, there was always other people who things are not going well for.
Right.
And I thank God actually for that, because it, first of all, it humbled me, but also changed my perspective about life and how I see myself.
Correct.
It also helped me to not tie myself so much to a job or to a success. Because I know
That doesn't
now
define you.
it doesn't define me from those two incidents. Because what happened with my mom-in-law also, we moved from Nairobi and went to run the children's home,
Okay.
and we were completely, I would say, maybe unprepared for that. Just financially, emotionally, there was a lot
Correct.
going on.
I can understand.
Yeah, and so by the end of that first year, we were completely broke, and also a lot had happened, and I just also felt really inadequate in terms of, was I really the best person to be the mother to this home, to these children, to the school, which
So you're
was part
still
of it.
running that home?
No. So eventually, one of the hardest decisions also we had to make was to say maybe we need to step away and have other people
Right.
run the home, which is what we did.
Okay.
But those two incidents or two occasions taught me, first of all, because you can go completely to rock bottom, and then you can rise again,
Again.
and then also you can't,
I think the real strength lies there to rise again.
that you can rise again, but also not, because I think sometimes we brush over the right. We say we focus so much on the rising again.
Hmm.
But I think there's also value in thinking about, what happens when you're
The
down there. How did you
lessons.
get there?
Yeah.
What are the lessons? How does it change you as a human being so that you're a better human being?
Right.
You're wiser, you're stronger. Sometimes you're weaker. Um, and some assumptions that we make about our abilities.
Right. Just to,
Yeah.
I think it's just an opportunity to understand ourselves better. We
Just
just
yes,
get to know ourselves better. Sometimes you're just taking life for granted, and life doesn't happen the same way throughout your life.
correct. To understand
it,
ourselves and to understand life
yeah.
and humans. Because I think sometimes also we oversimplify that if you have good intentions, that's all that matters. Or if maybe you have an education, that's all that matters. Or if you have the opportunity, that's all that matters. But there's so many other things. There'll be politics around it. There'll be people who
Correct.
have different notion of what you're doing, and how do you deal with all of that and
And
remain.
there is the change in perspective of people. When you're good, they will be talking to you in a different
Yeah.
way. But
Mhm.
when you're down, you're like on your rock bottom, the
Yeah.
way they treat you, the whole thing changes.
Yeah, although to be fair and to be honest, I think that was actually the paradox of it,
Right.
was that I discovered that, the people who love you and value you, they don't love you and value you because of what you have. They value you and love you,
the real
yes,
people.
because of who you are.
Right.
Um, and that was a very humbling, has been a very humbling lesson.
Hmm.
And I have also therefore tried very much to make sure that the people who are in my life,
Hmm.
whether they are colleagues or family or friends or neighbors, that they also know that their value is not linked
Because
to
of,
what they
yeah,
have or
correct.
the
Not
title they have
related
or
to
the
their
money.
material
No, it's
achievements.
yes, it's you are Rina and you're my friend, and that's it.
That's all it
And that's
matters.
what matters.
Right.
um yeah, and I think it was a good lesson for me to learn, but also for us to learn, as a family, and especially maybe for myself and my husband, because when we met, as all of us, both of us were like doing fairly well academically. We
Right.
met just after high school, just after form 4, and courted and dated and got married, and all was going
That's a
well. And
different
then,
story
yes,
for
that's
another
another story. That's
episode.
another podcast. And then, stuff like that happens, and it also changes your relationship, because
Right.
now you have each other, and you either go through the storm together,
Together.
or you can completely also, it can also break you
Break you.
apart. And I
Yeah.
thank God, because it those whatever setbacks maybe we have faced, and I only mentioned two, but there have been
I know.
other
It's
challenges,
it's
just like
life.
any
Life
family.
happens.
Yeah. That I think having that knowledge that we are on one side, we are
Right.
in one team,
Right. I
has
think
really
even that one
helped.
takes a lot of efforts, isn't it, to
Yeah.
have have that kind of maturity
Yeah.
and that kind of bonding with each other, that yes, we are in this together.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot. I think apart from career, I think people should also get this point that yes, if you are in a relationship or you have a partner, just be there and understand each other so that you are there
Yeah,
together.
as best as you can.
Yeah,
And there has to be a selflessness to it as well, because I
correct,
think
correct.
our generation is um very much about do you
Right.
and
Yeah, yeah,
no, it has to be
yeah.
beyond doing you and being me focused all the time. Yeah.
So from this one, I remember there was a conversation I was having with one of the colleagues, a very young girl, and I think recently she had lost her husband partner like a year ago or so, and she was surprised that I was married for more than 20 years. So she, how do you do that? So I just said, maybe sometimes you should have a bit of tolerance. The person sometimes is not in that zone that you expect, and just have a bit of tolerance for yourself, and over a time you will understand what to do. And this new generation, I was surprised. Tolerance, how can you have tolerance? And I was surprised, how can, I mean, the way people look at it, at the relationship at this point of time, I think it's completely different.
Yeah, it's different. And also, I guess we also have to give a caveat that if, for example, there's violence involved,
Yeah, yeah.
if there's any form of abuse,
Then
then
it's
you
a,
need
yeah,
to be
different.
safe,
Yeah,
and you need to maybe, get out
I
of
think,
that.
it's just beyond
Um,
the normal. Yeah,
yes, but I think the also the realization that you're also not perfect.
correct.
I think that for me has been one of the, oh my gosh, like today we were in an event, a Toastmasters event, and the keynote speaker um, was talking about, she gave us like 4 rules. She was referring to another, a program.
Hmm.
I think it's called NCIC, which I don't watch the program, but she had very good lessons from this program. The keynote speaker was Carol, she's called Carol Gongo. And the fourth lesson she gave us was sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes you're wrong.
Yeah,
And
you
it
can't be
it
100%
hit
right
me,
all the
and I
time.
was like,
Yeah,
actually, yeah, sometimes you're wrong. And it's something that sometimes you're wrong, sometimes you're the one in the wrong, sometimes you're actually the bad person. Sometimes maybe there are things you need to work on. And it's
correct,
easy, of course, it's very easy to beat yourself up. But I think sometimes, yeah, it's good to also take a step back. And I've learned this even in my career, in my
correct,
work. For every time when I felt like maybe I'm not doing as well as I should, I'm not rising to the occasion, I'm not meeting the expectations, and it's quick. It's sometimes the easier thing to say is either my boss doesn't like me, or my
correct.
colleagues don't like
Yeah,
me, or
finding
oh, the
some
systems are
excuse.
not working,
Right.
or But also, I've learned to just take a step back and say, Elishibah, by the way, um, are you really doing your part? Are
Right.
you doing your part? Am I I'm in programs, like I mentioned, and some of the work we do, we pay school fees. For example, we sponsor students in high school and university. And so if um that's my job. My job is to make sure that the fees has been paid. Uh no stories.
Right.
Get that done. If there was an issue with some delays or whatever, yes, but did you do your part? Did you present the documents that were supposed to be presented to
Correct.
finance? Did you look for the students? Did you ensure that they were recruited on time?
Right.
Or whatever. We do some other programs, tree planting, tree growing,
Hmm.
and again, can be like, yeah, it didn't rain,
Hmm.
but did you ensure that the seedlings were distributed in good time
Correct
for the
way.
rainy
Yeah.
season? And that comes back to the small things that I am doing as Elishibah. So when I say I'm a principal programs officer, what I should interpret it to mean is I'm making the programs work. And
Correct.
it means sometimes I may have to walk over to, I don't know, supply chain department. I may have to walk over to ICT department. I may have to call a principal in
Right.
a school and say, hey, you guys just
This has to
increased this
happen.
arbitrary
Yeah.
fees. We had already paid fees. Can you send me the agreement or the minutes of why this we're paying this extra thing? So I can't just be like,
Accountability for
yes,
it.
so for me, that statement that today we were given, that sometimes you may be wrong, I found it to be very profound, and it's a lesson I've continued to learn, that sometimes you are the problem.
Yep.
Sometimes you are the problem, and you have to have the humility to examine genuinely, to examine yourself
Yeah.
and ask, have you really done your best? Have you done what was expected of you?
Yeah. The
Yeah,
360-degree check about
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. And it's not always easy to do,
Right.
because our egos come in,
Correct.
and your ego tells you, "No, man, you're
You're always
amazing.
right. Yeah.
You're amazing. Everyone,
Is
eh,
doing. Everyone
they
else is wrong.
they're the ones with a problem." Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Great. That's amazing. So much to learn from you,
Mm,
Alishiba.
mm,
Um, just to dive deep into this leadership and the experience that you're having, that the stories that you're sharing, or the way you're leading your team, what is the challenge that you feel that is, or a gap that is there in the current system, or the women should, who are starting their journey towards the leadership, the challenges that you think are there, maybe one or two, and how they should fight with it, or they should prepare it for it.
Whew, I mean, there are myriad challenges and a myriad opportunities also. To every challenge, there's an opportunity, right?
Right.
To learn, to solve, to grow. Maybe from my own work experience, I would say there's a lack of mentorship sometimes,
Mhm.
and it's not because the mentors are refusing to mentor and the mentees are refusing to be mentored. It's that there are no either systems or
A
programs
formal
or
way
to
of
connect the two,
handling
right?
it.
So every time you talk to any person who has either succeeded in life or in whatever, they are willing, most of them are willing to give back, to teach, and to hold people's hands. And equally for those who are upcoming, they're equally to be willing to be mentored. But how do the two meet,
Meat.
right?
Right.
And that, I think, is what we need to work more on.
Okay.
And the mentorship, I think, has been made into this thing where we sit in a room and then someone comes and talks to us and we take
Right.
notes and we
Yeah,
possibly take
me
photos
personally,
and
I
then
really, okay, I believe in learning, but me personally, I don't like that kind of, I can't literally learn when I'm in that kind of format. Maybe you would have observed me when we were in
Mm,
that program.
mm,
I was like completely quiet because
mm,
somehow I don't feel I can open up.
yeah.
But when it's like a kind of a form informal meeting in an office, you just go and you talk to someone, and then you learn. I think that's how it
Y-
helps more.
yes, you can, but also I think sometimes, so it can be organic, and that would be the best way. But I think also we need to create those opportunities.
Right.
So, for
Right.
example, like now at Kenjan, we have what we call Pink Energy, which is it's shall I call it a group? It's an initiative for
Okay.
for the female staff in Kenjan, and it's
Okay.
countrywide. And one of the things is we've been put into groups of I don't know, 30, those who are in their 30s, and those who are in their 40s, and those who are in their 50s.
Okay.
And what I like about that is that you've been put in a group with possibly with your peers who you can talk to, and you're having maybe similar challenges,
Right.
but also you are aware that there are older women and younger women that you can talk to
Okay.
and go to for advice. And I have severally gone to, I mean, Kenyans, people have been there, some of them for like 20, 30 years.
Okay. Okay.
Some have been there for as long as maybe, well, yeah, let me say, just for a long time.
Uh-huh.
And anytime I come into headwinds, I take it upon myself, instead of wallowing and wondering, oh my gosh, what will I do? I'll go to some of these women and just say, what do I do? What am I doing wrong? And they'll tell you, well, in 1997, I had a similar problem and this is what I did. And you're able to unlock a lot of the mysteries that seem like mysteries. Similarly, I advocate for, I started by talking about family,
Mm.
and I really advocate for people also, where as much as possible, having a relationship with their parents, aunties and uncles, older cousins. I have benefited so much from my aunties, my mom's sisters, my dad's sister, Auntie Jamie, who's my godmother, my uncles. Um, in issues that you're just like, I'm feeling this way about this and I
Right.
have no idea what to do. And they might not have a solution,
Solution,
but they'll
but
tell you,
yeah,
I also went through this and
correct.
this is
Even I
what.
think that helps
Yeah,
a
and that's
lot.
mentorship.
Yeah,
So that's one
so it's
maybe
it's a
solution.
formal way. I just would like to know more about that group, because if
Which one?
someone,
The Kenjan
the
one?
Kenyan one, yeah,
Mhm.
because if someone is trying to do some help to their team, so how is it a formal way of handling it, or it's just an informal group
No,
that
no,
if
no.
you're
It's
going through something, then you go and talk
it's
to
it's
them?
formal, and I think for organizations, it's okay. So now that they have different programs,
Okay.
and we sometimes they'll bring a guest speaker, and we'll things like that. But it was an initiative actually by our former MD Rebecca Miano. But I think more and more organizations have to formalize some of those things and put money into it. And because by putting money, I mean have money for these kinds of programs. Are you going to take people maybe to some form of training? Are you going to bring some guest speakers to speak about something? Are you going to create a time or a platform or a website or a WhatsApp group or something where people can talk and inspire each other? So what happens, for example, in those groups, people will share, like maybe there's an event that's happening that is for women,
Right.
and then people will attend. Can the organization sponsor a few people to go to that
Right.
event? And so when you go to that event, I mean, I love events like those, because what happens is you end up meeting um, external people, but also you end up bonding with your own
Correct.
colleagues, and you talk, and we're coming back now. We've gotten some knowledge together
Yeah.
that we can share. I think the other way of dealing with the challenges, which we're calling challenges, maybe particularly for women, it's also being trying to discover very early on what are your strengths,
Okay.
so that um, you are working with your strengths, not your
Yeah,
weaknesses.
yeah, I have
Yes,
heard that a lot nowadays,
yes,
that
yes.
work with your strength instead of working on your weakness to make it a strength, rather work on your strength.
Work on
And
your strength, make it shine. So like I said, for me, I think I discovered one of my strengths is coordination, right?
okay.
My dream job actually is to be a lecturer, and I'm still working towards that, God willing.
Great,
Is to be a
definitely.
lecturer, to be a professor. But in the meantime, one of my greatest joys is to coordinate staff and to do social impact work, which is why I'm at the Kenjan Foundation.
Right.
And because that is my strength, is being able to coordinate and to see maybe some details that someone would miss in,
Right.
in in a program or in a project. I work on that. There are things that I was telling you earlier. For example, finance is Greek to me. Other than the budget, understanding the budget for the programs, there are some things that I won't even try really, because
Yeah,
it's someone else who that's their strength, and
correct.
and my I'll grow more by bringing
You
those
will,
people closer, so that
yes,
now we can
can learn
we
together.
can learn together. My colleague who I work with in programs, she's amazing at getting
That those
stuff
numbers.
stuff done. Not even just numbers, but just
Oh, okay.
like, this work needs to be done. She'll sit and concentrate and get it
Done.
done. Whereas
I think
for
that is one of the important qualities any leader should have, to make
mm,
sure that get the work done.
Yeah, but I think that's not, maybe some of us, that's not really our, I mean, I'll get it
That's not our
done
strength. Yeah.
eventually. but
Yeah.
but why I'm saying that is, so maybe if there's a, maybe a report to be
Right.
written,
Okay.
I enjoy that. I'll enjoy
Right.
writing a report because I like analyzing and thinking about what were the challenges, what can we do better, and give, if I do that, and then Hash is doing this other thing, then by the end of the day we're done with
Together.
both,
Yeah.
right? We're done
Right.
with
Right.
maybe some procurement was supposed to be done, or something, some memos were meant to be done, or whatever, and I have done the report or the planning that was required. So working with the strengths. um the maybe the third thing, so one I've said is the mentorship. Number two is the working with your strengths and strengthening your strengths. And of course, once you know your weaknesses, you keep working on them.
Right.
But I think really, really knowing what am I really good at, and shine at that thing,
Mm.
shine at it. But number
Three.
three, and now I've lost my train of thought. Oh, was is knowing the, shall I call it, knowing your seasons,
Okay.
knowing the season that you are in. And what do I mean? Um, right now, I mentioned that my kids are 10 and 11.
Right.
So they are into activities like football and gymnastics
Correct.
and things like that.
Correct.
What is required of me right now is for me to make it possible for them to pursue
Right.
those passions
Yeah.
and interests and talents.
Right.
What that means is I need to be available, for example, on a Saturday, or to take them to a tournament or to whatever.
Right.
Now, earlier on, and by earlier on, I mean maybe like 2, 3 years ago,
Mm.
I was trying to do that and also do my own passions
Others.
and things that I
Right.
want to do. And
I
what was
agree
happening
totally. I
was
agree
you drop
totally.
them, then you're running to this
Running
thing, then da-da-da-da-da-da-da,
is
and
just
you're
a
all
lot
over
of
the
burnout.
place,
Yeah.
and you're neither here nor there for either. For
Correct.
not, you're not there for the family, and you
Correct.
also,
Even the
these other
kids
things you're
feel that
chasing.
absence.
Yeah, and also these other things I was trying to do.
You're not
I'm
doing that
going there,
good.
but I'm also anxious because I need to quickly go
Yeah.
back, and
So
so
it's not
one of
focused
the,
attention as
yes,
such.
so one of the things I realized was, for this particular season of my life, I need to be present
Correct.
for
You should
the
be very
family.
clear about if
Yes,
you are really ambitious. Then if you're focusing on career, then you should know what part of life you are.
which season, because a
Yeah.
time is coming, and that's why I'm saying it's good sometimes to talk to older people, older men and women. A time is coming when maybe they'll be, my kids will be in high school, in boarding, in
Yeah, I know.
university. Then we have all this time, right? You know this,
I
right?
have all the
And you
time.
have all this time to do
Yeah,
all these other things,
correct.
and the time that you miss, for your family, can never be
And that is
recouped.
precious. I
Yeah.
mean, if even
So
if I have done that in my life, I have waited for some time to pursue my passions. I just focused on my family that time, but I think it was precious. Those
exactly.
moments
So
won't
knowing,
come
yes,
again.
knowing those seasons is so important,
Yeah.
and also not trying to. It's a phrase that's used a lot. Like take the staircase and not trying to just take the elevator. So taking shortcuts. And that's part of being in the season. So you could be, you're in your 20s, you're in the season of learning. Try to learn as much as you can, whether that is going to school and getting those certificates that are required, or diplomas, or knowledge that is required for you to be able to move to the next step.
Right.
You're in your 30s, maybe now you've reached a point where you're
Yeah.
in your
Now
mid
the
level
generation
career,
wants
whatever.
everything like this, quick, quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so in that season, what understanding what is required of me in my 30s, in my 40s, this is what is required, in my 50s, in my 60s.
Right.
And you can only know that by also exposing yourself to other people who are in that generation, who are either ahead of you or behind you. But also, as I say this, Rina, there's no of course there's no, what shall I say, formula to it.
Correct.
You
Correct.
can't say
Yeah.
that for
Yeah.
sure by the time you're 27 this is what should have happened.
Right.
It's also understanding that we have different journeys, and
Correct.
but you own your journey, and you
Right.
say, okay, so there are some things I had hoped to do by 28. which I have not done. Even I myself, there are so many, oh my gosh, so many things. I like I said, one of my dreams was to have a PhD,
Hmm.
by 40, and that hasn't happened, right? But I can say, okay, at some point I'll get it
Correct.
done. But
Don't
what
don't give up. Just keep on working on it, pursue it, but when the right time comes.
when the right time comes, yeah. Yeah, so
Don't leave your dream. Oof.
understanding your seasons, and understanding that for the season you're in, you give it your utmost best. I look back sometimes at my earlier career years, and I think about some of the restlessness I had, because I felt that I needed to be doing more and to be more, and I should, and it just came from maybe not knowing that actually, Elishiba, for you to get to that level that you're so desiring,
Hmm.
you need to put in the work.
Hmm.
You need to put in the
Right.
work, and sometimes you need to put in the years.
Yeah.
We've been very fortunate to write. I've been very fortunate to write a book recently
Right.
with 12 other women,
Right.
and the book is called The Way She Leads.
Yeah.
Right,
I
The
have.
Way She Leads, and it's about its experiences and stories from the lives and work of women who lead.
Right.
That's the title of the book,
Right.
and we did it with Zion Pearl Publishers. We launched it in November of last year. But in the book, one of the
I think the
things,
audience should take a note of it and make sure they go and buy this book, because there's so much stories and so much learning that will happen over the
yeah,
book. So if you are really so serious about your leadership journey, please make sure that you go and buy that book.
yeah. Thank you for that plug. So, one of the things I talked about in my chapter, and the whole book is very good. All the women share their different experiences, but one of the things I talk about is um, some of that restlessness as a young graduate who
Right.
thought she knew it all. And how I look back and I just say, I wish I had gleaned more from those who were around me.
Right.
But I also talk about that, this very point that I'm raising of just knowing for this season what is actually required of me. I happened to be in a lot of volunteer leadership positions, and I don't know if we'll come to that, but at some point I had so many um volunteer
Things
positions
to
that
balance.
I was balancing, and that I took on because I wanted to give back. I was giving back to my high school. I was the chair of my alumni association. I was the chair of the United World Colleges National Committee because I had gotten a scholarship there. I was doing Toastmasters. I was being a leader in my estate. I was doing all these other things, and at some point, some of the balls dropped,
Right. Right.
and I could not blame anyone except myself,
Correct.
because it was me taking on so much, because you want to do so much,
Yeah.
but without recognizing that there's a limit
I
to
think
my
there's a point
abilities,
here
to
that
my skills,
correct.
to my resources, to my time, to my energy. So that's why I am saying that statement of sometimes you may be wrong,
Correct.
sometimes you are wrong. I find it to be so powerful, because it took some balls falling for me to say, by the way, just step back and let other people sometimes
Yeah.
take the lead
There
for
is a
this season.
possibility that someone knows better than you, and just accept that fact.
100%.
Yeah.
That they know better, that they'll do a better job, and that you then can also be available for where you're most needed for that time, and where you're best equipped as well. Because you're not, just because people voted you in
Yep.
doesn't mean you're the best person for that position. Yeah, I
True.
mean, I
True.
say this
I think
as a
at any
Kenyan.
position, the learning is always there. You like, because you're in X position doesn't mean no you know it all.
Yeah.
You have to still learn. So especially for the women leaders who have been recently promoted and you don't know how to maneuver the journey, I think there is a lesson here. Start learning. there's no shame in accepting that you
Mhm.
don't know it all. Accept it, move, learn from it, and then start helping your team with it. I think that's one of the lessons we can pick it up from here. I would also like to know, when it comes to tough decisions, how do you handle that? Like, sometimes there's a feedback that you have to give, and it's a not a very good feedback, or there is a tough decision that now the team, you have to tell the person that now you have been on PIP, now you have to go, or it can be any of the. How do you
Mm.
handle that?
I think you have to focus on what is the outcome that you're looking for.
Right.
And one of the earlier you had asked me before we started recording a question about people who have influenced me the most in
Right.
my life, right? And I know many wives will not admit this, but my husband has really influenced me
No, it
in
is.
terms
I
of
think it's a very good
yeah. I mean, he's yeah. Anyway,
women who don't expect their husbands to be influencing them.
he has
Please
influenced.
make a note.
Yes. So one of
On
the
a
ways
lighter
that
note.
he has influenced me, and his name is Poriot. He always whenever I want to take on a situation, take the bull by the horns and nip it in the and that usually means war. He asks me, so what is the outcome that you're hoping for? And usually, sometimes he'll be like, you won't change this person.
Right.
You won't change this person. So it's up to you. You can say what you want to say to them.
Right.
But if the outcome you're looking for is for them to change, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So that often helps me to take some steps back and think about, okay, will there really be an impact in me saying or doing this thing? When we say what is the outcome you're looking for, so for a team, you're looking for productivity. For example, you want the goal or the mission or the vision to be done, to get done.
Right.
That is the goal.
Right.
So if someone is not pulling their weight, the focus needs to be on how them not pulling their weight is impacting the outcome.
Right.
Sometimes the challenge as leaders, because we are human, I focus on Rina, you're a horrible person, you are lazy. I don't even know how we gave you this job. I don't know what they saw in you. You're making it so personal
Right. Right.
and not focusing on
The
but
real
the
the real
outcome.
issue.
The
Yeah.
outcome should be, or the goal is. So I've noticed that you've not been pulling your weight. We agreed that as a committee, for example, or as a team, we agreed that we'll do this by Friday so that the organization can be able to do this by
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
So you were supposed to have delivered this XYZ. You haven't done it. As a result, we are not able to. So how can we, what is it that is missing? Is it that you don't know what you're supposed to be doing? Do you need someone else to work with you on it? Or should we put you on something else, another role
You're right.
that you feel you're better
Right.
equipped at? That is like the more mature way
Way
of
of
approaching it.
handling it.
The other thing which I've learned in Toastmasters, I'm a Toastmaster, and we learn to give feedback, is what we call the sandwich method.
Okay.
So you start with the positives, then
Uh-huh.
you put what is the person doing well, and then what do they need to work on, and conclude again with what they're doing well.
Okay.
What that does is it cushions the feedback.
You've set the tone that
You have
you're
set the tone.
already
You're not a
yeah,
horrible. I'm not saying
correct.
that you're a horrible person.
Right.
You have these strengths, and what I'm seeing is, I think if you could push yourself a little bit more,
Right.
you could achieve X, Y, Z. And then when you're giving feedback, let it be what's the word I want to use? That this is my observation as either as your
Correct.
colleague or as your team leader.
Right.
It's not gospel truth.
Right.
This is what
My
I have
my
observed,
personal
yes.
opinion.
And
Okay.
what I have observed is having an impact like this.
Right.
So the person can then tell you, by the way, what's happening is I don't think I am well equipped, or I don't know, sometimes it's something small like my laptop is just slow. I mean, sometimes it's small things which when you lash out, you might not understand why the delays are happening, or the person
Right.
is not performing, or it could actually be a capacity gap, that they
Right.
actually don't they
Understand.
don't
Yeah.
have the skill to do what you're telling
Correct.
them to do.
Correct.
And a lot of us have been
It
hired for
happens.
jobs
Yeah.
based on the faith that we're going to grow into our positions, based on the faith that we can learn. But
Right.
it could be that that person still hasn't learned enough, or doesn't actually know what is expected of them. So that willingness as a leader to unpack what is the real issue here, and depersonalize as much as possible,
Right.
depersonalizing it and making it focus more on the
On the
goal and the
output.
outcome. And that is not easy to do.
Right.
I have had challenges myself, especially when you're working with volunteers, because
Yeah.
I've done a lot of volunteer leadership as well. It's very hard because someone has offered themselves to do
Right.
something,
Right.
and now you want to hold a gun to their
Correct.
head. No, you
You
can't do
can't do
that.
that. Yeah.
And even for work where I have managed teams or led teams, I've learned that if you come at someone guns blazing, they retreat, they build a wall.
Yeah.
You're not going to get anywhere.
Correct.
First of all, you become enemies, you burn bridges. Now they're out to get you, you're out to get them.
Yeah.
You
You
will
can't
not
even.
achieve,
Yeah.
you will not achieve anything. But if you focus on, this is our common goal, this is what we were supposed to have done together, this is what we agreed, these are our KPIs. Focusing on that, it's helpful. And focusing on what can I do to make it doable for
Right.
you. How can I, as your team
How
lead,
can I help
or
you?
as your yes, how can I? What do I need to do?
Right.
And sometimes someone be like, I need you to call so and so to unlock this thing,
Yeah.
because it's not
I
being
think
unlocked.
in John Maxwell, we always keep on saying the first thing to become a leader is go and ask the question, how can I help you?
Yeah,
That's the first thing how you
and it's
start.
not always easy to do,
Yeah.
because we are led by our emotions, we are led by our egos.
Egos a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You think the position is stopping you from doing that. A lot of other things will come in.
correct.
Great, amazing. But now you have talked about Toastmasters. So I want to take that opportunity
Mm.
and ask you. So, how does this Toastmasters help people in grooming themselves as a maybe speaker, or to come out, to give a better interview for that matter? So, what is this Toastmasters all about?
Toastmasters International is an organization that trains people in public speaking and leadership, communication and leadership skills. And it's worldwide. It's actually in 144 countries, Kenya being one of them. And and we celebrated 100 years last year. And I say this because Toastmasters has impacted a lot of leaders and a lot of people to be able to communicate better. But I think for me, really, the real impact of Toastmasters is when you're able to communicate better, you're also able to lead better.
Right,
And I dare say, even to live better.
right.
We practice speaking, so we do speeches, and you're given feedback. You're
Okay,
given an evaluation on the spot in front of everybody, but it's done in a constructive manner. So we also learn how to give constructive feedback and how to receive constructive feedback. How that happens is you join a club, and most clubs will meet twice a month. And when they meet, you give speeches, we have evaluators. You're timed, your speaking is timed. There's a grammarian. There is somebody who will also evaluate how the meeting went and what could have been done better. We call them a general evaluator. Then you also have an R counter who
okay,
counts the R's and the M's.
okay.
And so it helps you also to articulate yourself better and more clearly.
Right,
And the timing the timing is important because I'm sure so many of us have attended events, presentations where someone was given 15 minutes until you find yourself checking the
It's
program
it's
because
already
2 hours later they're still rambling on, like, really. So it helps you also to be succinct
right.
and to be very clear what is the outcome you're
Yeah.
looking
And
for,
what is the exact message
what
that
is
you
the
want to pass
message,
on?
and what it has, what the benefit is. I think especially for not just for professionals, but I think for anybody really, is to be able to tease out what's your message and who's your target audience, even for making a business pitch, for example, or even
Right.
for presentations at work. And I found that it has helped me even in meetings.
Right.
So because you have to be prepared when you're going to give a speech at Toastmasters or any meeting and you're holding any role, you've prepared for it. You're
Right.
not except for what we call table topics, where you're speaking on your feet or thinking on your feet. For everything else, you prepare. And let me tell you, even now when you invite me to a wedding and you tell me that, Elishibah, you're going to be the cake matron, and that's one of the things I do, by the way. I'm a cake matron.
Okay.
I am not going to show up there and wing it.
Yeah.
No, because I honor you enough and I honor the event enough to prepare what I'm going to say.
Correct.
So we're not going to be standing there talking about salt and sugar that I'm making up a speech on the spot.
Yeah.
I'll prepare. So it actually elevates the quality of everything that you do. It has even helped me also with how I give feedback even to my children or to my
Right.
husband. I
Very
try.
important.
Yeah, and even to my siblings or to my mom or to anybody, and how I receive feedback as well, because you're when somebody's giving you feedback, the goal is for you um to grow. So that's how Toastmasters works. You can find the information on Toastmasters International. We have many clubs in Kenya. I belong to SEMA Toastmasters, which is one of the clubs in Nairobi, but there are quite many in across the world. And it's a membership, so you pay a membership, you pay a
Okay.
subscription, but the real value really is the work that you put in and how you make sure that you're doing your projects and you're growing. And then you also network, you're meeting people. One
Yeah.
of the
From
things,
from different.
yes, one of the lessons again, for leaders, is that it's important for you to also go out and meet people. Some of the best probably opportunities will come because you've gone out and met someone who
Yeah.
is in
I
another
I
club.
agree totally,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah,
Because opportunities don't come to you formally into your email box. You have to go out there and talk to people about
yes.
it. I'm sure there's so much we can talk about, and there are so many stories Elishiba can share more. And I'm sure you would like to listen to that as well, or hear, watch us. But there is a time limit, and we need to conclude our stories and conclude our lessons. So I would like Elishiba to just summarize for us maybe the top few challenges, or the top three major things that any aspiring leader should be working on.
I would say maybe three things to any woman leader or any woman who is growing in her
Aspiring,
career.
yeah.
um One is put in the hard work, put in the work. If it means you have to wake up early,
Right.
if it means you have to sacrifice something, not your dignity though,
Yeah.
not your dignity, you that should not be one of the things that you're sacrificing, and not your integrity, but put in the work. It pays off. But at the same time, sometimes you can work very hard and the reward is not immediate or is
Right.
not what you thought it would be.
So patience.
Be patient and keep at it. Keep at it. um, Recently we had a graduate who came back to say thank you to us, to Kenjan, and one of the trustees was giving him advice and said to him, if you are looking for a job, ask yourself how many applications you've sent per day in a day, because you sometimes your the output is equal to the input. So you just keep
Right.
trying. So I'm a big believer in just work hard, um, Do your very, very best. And even the small tasks, quote unquote, you've been trusted with, do your very best. One of the things I learned, I worked at Strathmore University, Strathmore Business School. One of the philosophies of Strathmore is that in every task you've been given, give it your very, very best, that you can be trusted, because that's task or job or position or place you find yourself in, that is where you've been planted, and that's where you need to
Right.
bloom.
Wow.
So
Powerful.
don't underestimate it, or
Right.
give it your very, very, your very, very best in
Best.
whatever you're doing. The second thing is your character.
Right.
Your character, when we strip everything else away, your character is what remains.
Correct.
And your character is your brand. Your character is your currency. Your character is what will remain
With you
after
forever.
everything else.
Right.
And so that's why I'm saying, don't sell yourself short. You don't need to sell yourself. You don't need to start becoming corrupt because everybody is corrupt.
Right.
You sometimes people will be unkind to you. You don't need to become the people you don't like, because now it's an eye for an eye and we are competing. um be if you're supposed if you believe in kindness or generosity or integrity,
Be authentic.
do that because that's who
That's who
you are,
you are.
because of who you are, not because of what other people are. And I have found that to be so useful, because I've gone through my life, I would say, from childhood, I guess. And I credit my mom a lot for teaching us that honesty is important, that kindness is important, that generosity is important, that those that becomes who you are. You despite whether you become successful or wealthy or you lose everything,
Right.
those things will define you and will guide you. They'll be your guiding light, your character. The third and last thing, which I love to say,
Mhm.
we miss all the shots that we don't take.
Right.
We miss all the shots that we don't take. So uh, if
Take as
there's
many
an
shots as possible.
opportunity, go for it. Put your best foot forward. There's a song I love by Leanne Womack. It's called "I Hope You Dance," and she says in the song that, "And if you get the chance to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance." Right.
Okay.
So imagine yourself at a party,
Right.
and there's an option to sit or
Yeah.
this song out, or to get on the dance floor and dance. I always say, just get up
Go
and
and
dance.
dance.
You might dance badly, people might laugh at you,
Right.
but you're dancing,
Right.
and you're more
You're
likely
enjoying
to
that
meet
moment. Yeah.
opportunities. Then by dancing, the I'm referring to taking
The
opportunities.
opportunity. Yeah.
And even, now we are in an era where, and I thank God for that, and we've seen it in Kenya especially, but I think globally as well, where people have become very entrepreneurial.
Right.
Right, so
Right.
life serves you
That's where we are leading.
lemons. You make lemonade with it. We are graduating, people are graduating from college, from high school, from university, from wherever, and the jobs they had hoped for are not forthcoming. And then you have an idea for a business. Try it, go for it, just try it. You learn along the way. You might get burnt, but that's the dancing that I'm talking about.
Right.
Instead of sitting it out, you
Correct.
get on the dance floor, and you just you keep giving your best. Life will Sometimes life will discourage you, will disappoint you. People will also discourage you and disappoint you. Like I was mentioning earlier, sometimes your best intentions
Yeah.
can be misinterpreted,
Right.
or unappreciated, but that should not stop you.
Mm.
You just try, give it your best. So the three
Amazing.
things: put in the hard work,
Right.
wherever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever you've been trusted with, do your very best. Give it your best. So bloom where you're planted. Then, number two is your character. That
The
what you
authenticity. Yeah.
aspire to be, what you value, let that remain your guiding light. Don't stoop to the level of the mediocrity
Right.
that you are probably witnessing around you. And if you remain the only person who is
Doing the right thing.
doing the right thing, or being kind, or being generous, or being truthful, or being diligent, or whatever it is, faithful, then let it be, because your character will remain when we strip everything else. And then lastly is take those shots. Just try. You'd rather try and fail. And I say this even when it comes to love, you
Yeah.
know.
True.
It's better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all.
I think they
and
are going to
and
love this one
yeah, and even
more than
if,
leadership
yeah, you'll be
is.
disappointed. So life is like that. Yeah, like, it's not, I don't think life is supposed to be easy,
Yeah.
but don't let that stop you from waking up again and trying again. I know I fail so many times. Every day I finish the day with a million things that I could have done better, or that I haven't done. But I'm like, tomorrow,
Is
Elishibah,
another day.
I try again.
Yeah.
I try again. And so help me, God. Right.
Right.
And if it means I have to get someone else to help me, to
Yes.
teach me,
Seek
to
seek
guide
help.
me, to do what, to
Even
even reprimand me,
right. Right.
you know, um, oh man. And life can give you second chances. I've seen that.
Third chances and fourth
It can give
chances.
you a second chance. So you
I
failed,
have that's what I have
you
written in my book. Like it's not about only second chances, it will give third, fourth. The chances will keep on coming to you, but you
yeah.
have to take it.
This, yes. So just take those shots, and yeah, keep trying. Don't get tired of trying.
That was Elishibah for you. She has shared her most valuable lessons from her life. I'm sure there is so much more that we can catch up from her, and very soon we will be seeing her again. But we will be having more episodes and more guests who will be sharing their stories as well. Please keep looking for next episode. And I would love to see more of your comments on what challenges you would like me to cover in this kind of series. What is that you want to learn from us and from these people who have broken the barriers and achieved the success. If you want to be successful, I'm sure you will subscribe and like to this channel. Till then, keep growing and keep thriving. Sign off for now, Reena Gore.